Greetings, gardeners. Well, those of you who watch my videos regularly, you know I am passionate about backyard fruit growing. For those of you who have never seen any of my videos, this one's all about the joys of raising fruit. I was passing through the backyard yesterday and I reached up into this apple tree over here and I pulled myself down a few apples, brought them into the house, and maybe an hour later I picked one up and I started to munch on it and I went, man, is that apple good? And I go, oh, it just, every time this happens to me, and it does frequently, I'll take a piece of fruit from my trees and go, man, that has got to be the best tasting piece of whatever I have ever put in my mouth. And my next reaction, other than being glad that I grew my fruit trees and, you know, proud of myself for being able to raise such nice fruit and so on, the next result is always, I feel sorry for people who don't have these orchards in their backyard and never get to eat fruit right directly off the trees. There's absolutely nothing in the world like it. Being able to just stroll through your backyard and pull down food from the trees that tastes way better than what you can get from the supermarket is just an amazing thing. It makes you feel good. Yeah, so this guy right behind me here, this is a Cox Orange Pippin apple. We got some fruit up here in the tree. Nice big one there. There's one well crowned with some good color on it, you know. This is one of the favorite apples of England. It goes back, I think, maybe to the 18th century or so. Anyway, it's been around a while. It's an heirloom apple. And on my chart, I think of apples scored 1 to 10. I'd give this one at least a 7. I like it quite a bit. It really is. It's a pretty apple. It has a very nice crunchy flesh. Oh man. It has an excellent balance of acid and sugar. It's juicy. The skin is thin, easy to eat. It will store for months. So I can take these down, put them away in my fridge, and enjoy them half the winter. This is really good. The juice is flowing out across my mouth. It's just making my cells tingle. My nerve endings are all vibrating from this thing. And this, by no means, is the sweetest, most delicious apple I have in the garden. I have Fuji's over here. This is like biting into apple juice. They are so sweet, so juicy. This one's a little more balanced in flavor. Make a good cooking apple, too. But there's nothing like it. We have 50 varieties on 14 apple trees in this yard. So I got a wide variety of different fruits at different times of the year. We pick apples starting as early as 4th of July for apple pies, and then going as late as Thanksgiving with the Granny Smiths, and pretty much everything in between. But fruit growing in the home backyard, I'm telling you, if you aren't doing this, you need to. You really, for your soul, for your psychological health. In a country that's gone mad, worried about fast cars, fancier stars, you know, women with bigger breasts, and whatever it is that we're all chasing around, and the almighty dollar, of course, it can't be replaced with delicious fruit fresh from your backyard. This is real life. Man. This guy right here is Passiflora edulis, otherwise known as passion fruit. It's also called lilikoi in Hawaii. Very pretty name. Hawaii, they like the yellow ones the best. They're a little more tart. Here in California, we seem to like the purple ones the best. Purple ones are a little sweeter, and so they're easier to eat right off the vine. See if I can find myself one up here that's purple enough. So these fruit have kind of a hard shell on them. Takes a knife to get them open. Once you get them open in the inside, this is what we got. Oh, it's dripping. Delicious. Let's see. Oh, man. I mean, oh, absolutely exotic. The aroma. Oh, passion fruit smell. These are really good. This one I have in my yard came up by accident from some 17-year-old seed. It's an unknown variety, and everybody who tastes it tells me this is the sweetest passion fruit they've ever had. it is really sweet. Most of these are pretty tart, almost lemon-like. Not this. It's sugary. And if you eat them seeds and all, especially if you chew the seeds up a little bit, you get all kinds of nutrition like omega-3 fatty acids and a lot of things you wouldn't even expect. The seed in this is very, very good for you. It's excellent fruit, but it tastes so good. I tossed some of these out on the lunch table the other day to some friends of mine, and boy, they were just jumping. Most of us don't get a chance to eat stuff this good. I'm telling you, it's incredible. I'm over here, right behind me, I've got a little Japanese mandarin called a kinao or kino. Maybe rhymes with minnow. These look like they're getting pretty ripe here too. I'll give this thing a try. This is a fairly seedy mandarin compared to many of them I grow. Like my Owari Satsuma is seedless. It's not ready until Christmas. This one's ready right now. Oh man, sugar, and so rich tangerine, flavor. Man, is that good. I first saw this fruit when I lived down in Arizona. I used to grow these down on Baseline in South Phoenix. I buy them by the bushel down there from one of the citrus groves. This is really a fine mandarin. Most of us don't get to eat this thing because it has seeds. Marketplace really rejects mandarins with seeds anymore, but I'm telling you, the ones with the seeds oftentimes also have the flavor. So this is kinao, spelled like minnow with a K, K-I-N-N-O-W. Man, oh man, is it a good tree. This beautiful specimen right here behind me is one of my favorite citrus trees. This is the Owari Satsuma mandarin. Peels just like gloves coming off of a hand, no seeds inside, fairly low in acid, high in sugar, so refreshing, so delicious. This tree is not quite ripe. They're a little bit on the green side yet. Come Christmas, this will be dead ripe. Probably be getting pretty good by Thanksgiving, but I got one right here that it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. Tasting that way too. That's an easy month from being ripe, and it's still better than anything I can get from a supermarket. Man, oh man. If you don't have Owari Satsuma in your garden and you can grow citrus, I gotta ask you, how come you don't? Oh, this would be worth building a greenhouse in Chicago just to be able to raise these. I suppose you seldom hear people jumping up and down with joy about the flavor of limes, but you know, when it comes to a fruit, there is nothing like the flavor of a lime. It's not quite the kind of fruit where you're going to want to sit down, you know, and suck on one after dinner or anything. On the other hand, great with tequila. Yep, you know, there's a whole lot of things you can do with a lime that's fabulous. And the one thing that I like to do with these is if you happen to live in Minneapolis and you're paying $2 a piece for these when they're out of season so you can have them with your tequila, just remember that here in California, I have so many of these in my tree, I use them to clean the stains off my knives. They're also really good for cleaning cutting boards. You know, you scrub it on your cutting board to get rid of the fish smell. Yeah, nothing like using a lime to clean the kitchen. Ha ha ha. And, whoa, that'll wake your taste buds right up, but I'm telling you, that's a lime. And then there's America's #1 most loved fruit, the banana. It's kind of too bad that there's only a few places in the United States where we can actually raise these. California, Florida, and Hawaii are probably the big three being able to raise a decent banana. But boy, there ain't nothing like having bananas in your garden, I'm telling you. They're just amazing. Oh, and here we have another one of my favorite fruit. Fuyu persimmon. Fuyu persimmon, very useful. Nice late fruit. Hangs in the tree till Thanksgiving or so. So it comes well after many of the other crops. but it comes just before citrus and avocados out here, so it's really a nice place for the fruit to be. Birds will eat the fruit. Otherwise, I don't really seem to get any aphids or anything else. The tree is relatively trouble-free. Very little maintenance on my part. I prune it at the same time that I pick it usually, because the fruit does not come off the stems, you see, easily, so you have to go in there and cut it loose anyway. So I'll oftentimes take down whole stalks of wood covered in persimmons, prune all the persimmons off, and that way I cut away extra wood in the tree at the same time. These are great. I mean, you can use these as a fresh fruit to eat right out of the hand. The fuyu can be eaten crunchy, doesn't have to be smushy like some of the other persimmons, although it will eat just fine smushy if you happen to like your persimmons that way. I prefer them to crunch like an apple myself. They're very, very good as a dried fruit. They're almost like a date when it's been dried. They're really good when they're dehydrated. I cut them in slices after peeling them and dry them that way. Got some video on the web about that. They're good to bake with these. I know people who like to make persimmon cookies. I've had persimmon pie that was quite good in the past, either raw persimmon or cooked persimmon pie. One of my favorites, I mean a real bachelor food, is a persimmon cobbler. This fruit is not that well known in the eastern U.S. Out here on the West Coast, this has become a standard for us. Man, oh man, I don't know how many fuyu persimmon trees I've sold over the years when I ran the nursery. But you see here, they're seedless. This fruit sets parthenocarpically, so there are no seeds inside these. They're completely edible. You can eat the skin if you want to. A lot of times people peel the skin. I think too much persimmon skin is not that good for you because it doesn't digest well, you know. So you don't want to get your system loaded in, but you can eat the skin. I mean, they are so sweet and crunchy. It's just a delicious fruit. There's very little of anything about these that will put you off. I mean, it's slightly wet. It's got a nice crunch to it, almost like an apple. It's very sweet. And the flavor is mild. The flavor is really, really mild. What this is all about here is I just really am trying to pass on to everybody else out there and the viewers. Grow fruit. Grow fruit. Put fruit trees in your backyard. And every time I pass through the yard and something else is ripe and I pull it down and I walk into the house with it and take a bite, I go, man, it doesn't get any better than that. How come more people don't do this? I mean, fruit growing in the backyard is becoming more popular today. It's definitely on the upswing. And there's no replacement. That stuff you get in the supermarket, it's picked green and hard. It's stuck into coolers. Refrigeration oftentimes destroys the flavor of fruits. When it's ripe out here in the garden, you can allow fruit to get to that point that a farmer could never ship it. Okay? That's when the quality gets to be amazing. Something to write home about, something to tell your children about, is a piece of tree-ripened fruit. You cannot get it in the supermarket. So if that's what you're living on, honestly, you don't even know what food tastes like. Happy gardening. Find a ripe apple in the yard. Plant more fruit trees.